The thing that I was excited about most when doing it was that the kind of piece of theatre that it is very exciting, you know, and so there was the opportunity, because Roald Dahl is very sort of rude and funny and very dark and sort of like, they're kind of like fairy stories, but not, you know, and it just felt like it was, you had the opportunity to do lots of exciting things, like, you know, throwing children around by their hair and creating huge burps. Things like this, and as an adult you don't get to do that very often, or if you do you get arrested.
I was excited about writing the songs for Matilda because I just knew it was a great story, and I love stories about little kids who teach grown-ups lessons, and that's what Roald Dahl's so good at writing. I thought that it would be a really good story for kids and grown-ups to watch as a theatre show, and I knew that if we could write some songs that were simple enough for kids to like but complicated enough for adults to like, that lots of people would like to come and see it.
The biggest challenge when we were turning the book into a musical was the order that things happen in a book is very different from the way it happens on stage. So what is called the structure of the story in a book, because you read a chapter at a time, you can read a little bit, then you go away, you read a little bit, you go away, and that's quite a different experience from sitting in the same place for 2 hours. So you have to sort of cut lots of stuff away that you really like, and that's always really sad because you really like that stuff, but you have to get rid of it because it just doesn't fit within the 2 hours.
The biggest challenge of writing the songs, I think, was because Roald Dahl's stories are quite dark sometimes. They're not like Princess Disney stories. They're quite mean, and bad things happen. And when you're writing songs, especially if you're thinking about writing songs for kids, you can very easily write songs that are a bit saccharine, sugary, and simple, and you have to be careful when you're writing songs for Roald Dahl stories, and you have to make sure they're a bit mean and dark as well.
Before the worm starts to turn, we must scrape off the dirt and rip it from the mud.
The hard thing about writing a musical is, if you're used to writing plays, you write the entire story and you make sure that you want every piece of the story to be there. And when you're writing the book for a musical, which is what my job was, you've got to leave big lumps of the story missing so that the songs can do the work. And it might be, and what the song might be doing is, the song might be telling a bit of the story, or it might be telling you a little bit about the character, like Matilda. The songs that Matilda have tells you a lot about her. But it means that as the writer, you have to, as the playwright involved, you have to sort of not do those bits, and that's quite hard. That's quite difficult because your natural instincts want you to sort of tell the story and not leave big holes in it.
When I first came on board, I asked Dennis, where are you up to with this? Have you got places you want songs and any ideas? And he said, actually, I've written a script with a few ideas for lyrics in it. And I said to him, can you please go to your script on your computer and delete all those lyrics, because I don't want to see them. Sometimes if other people's ideas are there, you won't be able to forget about them. You won't be able to start with a clean canvas, if you know what I mean, with a blank page. But then I read that script, and before I started writing it all, Matthew and Dennis and Chris and me and Jeannie and a few people all sat around and talked more and more and more about where those places were and whether that was the right place and where the interval would be, and we changed those places a bit. And again, before I even started writing at the piano, I came into one of those meetings with a flow chart, because I'm a bit, when I write, I'm quite nerdy. I think of songwriting and making theatre as like a puzzle. I want all the pieces. I want to know where the pieces are before I start writing the actual words and music. And so I made a flow chart with different coloured boxes, and some of the boxes represented dialogue and story, and every time there was a song there'd be a coloured box, and inside that box it'd say, song about growing up, or song about being naughty, or song about miracles. And then I changed the colours of them depending on what style of music it would be, because when you're writing a musical, you don't want fast song, fast song, fast song, slow song, slow song, slow song. You want to mix it up. You want to make sure it's dynamic. So I made different styles represent different colours and stuff like that. And so there was a lot of work done on deciding what sort of songs were going to go in what sort of places long before I ever locked myself in my room with my piano.
The hard thing with Matilda was making it all work together. We liked little scenes, and we'd look at a scene and go, oh, that's great, or look at a song and say, we like that. But what was hard was putting it all together. That was the really tricky thing. And we lost lots of things. There was lots of, like, there was another joke with the parrot. There was another trick that Miss Matilda plays with a parrot, where she shoves a parrot up the chimney. That's in the book. We lost that. That was a shame. I really like that. But there's loads of things that we had to sort of get rid of, because, you know, we can't have the audience there for 2 days.
Dennis and I found it quite hard to make the show not too long, because it's quite a complicated story in a way, especially the way Dennis wrote Miss Honey's story about her parents that we don't know till the end is about Miss Honey's parents. And so it was quite a complicated show with lots of things going on. And originally it was too long and we had to cut stuff out, and it's quite hard because Dennis had written all this script and I had written all these songs, and we sort of almost had to fight to see what would stay in. Luckily we had Matthew Warchus, the director, to be the grown-up while Dennis and I were fighting like children.